We've been calling on pastors for years to get involved into not so much to be involved in politics. Who cares about politics? What we care about is righteousness. And what we should care about as a nation is asking our people to come back to the Lord. And really, it starts within the church. You know, in order for us to get to our nation, we have to get to our church. And it starts with the pastors. And so we've gone to pastors over the years and have been begging pastors to be willing to address the tough issues, but to vote biblically, to vote for those people who would uphold the moral principles that are firmly rooted in Scripture.
People can look around and just see that our nation is in trouble, and the question becomes then, how can pastors deal with this? And I think that pastors have to understand their unique role as shepherds for their flock, to give them guidance and to not have a fear of man in the way that they address this.
Well, the most important thing of all is for pastors to be faithful with the gospel, because the only way in the long term we can change America is by having individual hearts and lives changed by receiving Jesus Christ and being discipled.
Now, I think that people could look around and they can say, well, there's no hope for our country because look how bad things are and that sort of stuff. And what I think that you have to recall is that any time there's been a major move of God, or even you can think of other situations where it wasn't necessarily dealing with the Christian church, the good result was never clear at the beginning.
To what extent should we limit the conscience of the nation? Because historically, that's exactly the role that the church has played and pastors have played. They have been the conscience. They have been the tolling bell. And today, more than ever, pastors must know that if they don't toll that bell, if they don't herald the truth and enlighten the conscience, no one else will.
If there is hope for our country, it must come from the pulpit. While we're lawyers, what we get to do is fight the battles in the courts. However, that's only one part of the equation. The most important part of the equation is pastors all over the country changing the minds and hearts of the people. That's where the change will come from.
So yes, there is hope, but I don't want to make it sound like the situation is not critical.
What pastors in America today need to understand is that we are at a critical crossroads in our history of our nation. We're either going to continue to slide in a negative direction or we can stand up and take a bold stand and reverse it.
And pastors just have to realize that their congregations are hungry for the truth and for their leadership. And only the pastors can provide that.
Pastors have to understand their unique role as shepherds to motivate their flock to godliness.
Pastors, we encourage you out there to be bold, to be courageous, and in no way hold back the truth that God has given you.
What's it going to take? And it's going to take our moral leadership of our pastors.
Pastors in the United States of America have tremendous freedom, and there's been a misinformation campaign that's put out deliberately by the enemies of liberty and the enemies of freedom in our country to keep pastors afraid, to keep pastors uninformed and misinformed about what their legal rights are.
Pastors have incredible rights in America. We have a First Amendment that protects pastors. We have the Establishment Clause, we have the Free Exercise Clause. These are called the religion clauses of the First Amendment. They exist to protect our right to speak. There's a case that says that preaching from the pulpit is of the highest regard and protection under the United States Constitution.
Pastors generally have much more in the way of legal rights than they're aware of. They can, they may be a 501c3 organization, a ministry, but they still have rights. They can talk about issues like, for as much as they wish. There's no limitation on that. They can preach on abortion every Sunday if they wanted to, for example. They can talk about legislation, propositions, initiatives. They can get behind them so long as they don't use a substantial portion of their total resources.
Yes, they have rights that they're not using, and they have to use them, and now's the hour. We don't have a second to spare.
If pastors are intimidated, and there are people in society who want to intimidate, they want to silence us simply with intimidation and nothing more. And frankly, they've had some success to a degree on that, and we've got to put it into it. Be bold in Christ.
We help churches and pastors and Christians across this country for free on a daily basis. We support your right to be able to express your faith, to be able to stand on moral principles, on biblical principles, and we will fight to the death for that.
We are so concerned about this misunderstanding that intimidates pastors into silence from the pulpit that the Alliance Defense Fund has established our pulpit initiative out of our church autonomy project, where we have a group of lawyers, both staff attorneys and then allied attorneys, that are dedicated to help pastors if they run afoul of some IRS tax regulation or some campaign finance rule with the state or whatever, to protect you.
The Western Center for Law and Policy offers pro bono legal defense for pastors and church organizations and religious groups who have been challenged to be silent on these issues.
Our law firm, our position in this battle is as follows. The pastors has the most important part. They are there to change the hearts and minds of the people in the country. Our job is to protect them and make sure they can do that. And we do that on a pro bono basis, so they don't have to worry about incurring many costs associated with it. And what we have found is that the attack from the other side comes against smaller churches because they know that they do not have the funds to hire big law firms to represent them. So that's what our charge is under the Alliance Defense Fund.
Pastor, let me share with you our commitment to you and your church. We are willing to provide you free legal counsel at any time, without charge, always without charge. In addition to legal counsel, we are willing to represent you as you address these issues and these kinds of matters. We at the Pacific Justice Institute handle more cases on the West Coast dealing with faith and family than any organization of our kind. And so we want you to know for you to feel free to contact us. In California alone, we have over 500 volunteer affiliate attorneys. Last year, they helped us handle more than 4,000 requests for assistance, every one of them without charge. We're here to serve you. We are your servants. So please don't ever hesitate to give us a call. That's what we're here for. It's a privilege and honor to do that.
Pastors, I want you to understand that the Alliance Defense Fund will defend you for free.
I will defend you for free.
I will defend you for free.
We will defend you for free.
We will defend you for free.
We will defend you for free.
The bottom line, we will defend you for free, without question.